everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda N, and I'm here to talk about creepy urban legends. The place I wanted to start with is Massachusetts, since I grew up there. Massachusetts has a lot going on between the Lizzie Borden legend in Fall River and the witch hunts in Salem, but today I thought I'd start with this strange, not often mentioned urban legend called a Pukwudgie. Apparently, Pukwudgies have haunted the forests of Massachusetts for ages now, even before pilgrims and settlers arrived. According to one source, for centuries they tormented the local Native Americans and crept their way into their creation myths and oral history. They could easily be passed off as legend, and in fact, their physical description is much like mythological creatures from other cultures and other times. The difference is that these demons jumped from the page and evolved as much as the people around them changed, changing from reluctant helpers to evil tormentors. The difference is these demons are still seen by people today. Most cultures' mythology actually has some reference to small monsters that have a strained relationship with humans. In many ways, it makes sense. While large monsters have their place in our fears, diminutive creatures find their way into the shadows of our rooms and under our beds. Their names and nature change, but there are always common threads that link them together. Some are called monsters and roam the land looking for human food and kidnapping anyone they can find. Others are called demons, foul spirits that feed off the negative and expose the sins of man. When referring to one, its classification gets blurred, and these two words become interchangeable, perhaps showing us how closely associated these monsters are with pure evil. The Pukwudgie made its first appearance in the oral folklore of the people of Cape Cod, but recent sightings have forced people to rethink this mythological creature. Standing between 2 and 3 feet tall, the Pukwudgie looks much like our modern idea of a troll. His features mirror those of the Native American in the area, but the nose, fingers, and ears are enlarged, and the skin is described as being gray and, or washed out, smooth at times, and has been known to glow. What makes these monsters dangerous is the multitude of magical abilities they use to torment and manipulate people. They can appear and disappear at will and are said to be able to transform into other animals. They have possession of magical poison arrows that can kill and create fire at will. They seem to often be related to a tall, dark figure, often referred to in modern times as shadow people. In turn, the Pukwudgies control the Tapawenkas, which are believed to be the souls of Native Americans that they have killed. They use these lights to entice new victims in the woods so that they can kidnap them or kill them. In European folklore, these little balls of energy are actually known as will-o-wisps and are said to accompany many paranormal occurrences. Modern paranormal investigators call them orbs, and catching one on film is the gold standard of field research. Some say Pukwudgies aren't symbols though, and are truly a real horror. They've been spotted in Freetown and Framingham and Taunton too. At first glance, these things certainly don't seem frightening when you consider that they're only 2 or 3 feet tall. Another description of them doesn't say that they're washed out or glowing, but states that the Pukwudgie originated in the Wampanoag tribe in the United States, according to the Encyclopedia of Fairies and World Folklore Mythologies. They are small, troll-like creatures able to appear and disappear at will and shapeshift into animals. They can also influence people's minds and create fire and poison arrows. The Pukwudgies supposedly look like large-faced elves, standing no more than 3 feet tall with enlarged ears, fingers, and noses. The Encyclopedia of Fairies just says that their skin is gray and smooth. In Wampanoag legend, though, Pukwudgies were a lot like leprechauns. They could trick someone, steal a child, or lure people deep into the woods or even off of cliffs. It's rumored that Pukwudgies could possess the spirits of long-dead ancestors. Most sightings of these creepy beings occur around New England. Police in the city of Freetown, Massachusetts even went so far as to put up signs warning of Pukwudgie crossings. So, what's the problem with these little guys? What do they do exactly? Although Harry Potter is largely to thank for people being curious about these kinds of creatures, I was really curious to dive deeper and find out what the hell these things do in the first place. I mean, why are people so afraid of them? Surely if they can lure humans to death with dangerous, magic, poisonous arrows, then can't we just turn the other way if we see them? Why hasn't anyone talked about them before? Well, one source claims that there's actually widely differentiating accounts on the Pukwudgies. Some people thought they were tricksters, but overall good-natured, while some Native American tribes may have believed they were responsible for stealing their children. Apparently, that's based on location. One source says that different regions have different views on the Pukwudgies. Great Lake tribes believe they are mischievous but harmless. Whereas on the other hand, Northeast Algonquin tribes believe that they will become violent if they're disrespected, but are fine so long as they're left alone. Like a lot of urban legends and folklore, they've also appeared in media. One old poem about them from the Song of Hiawatha reads, "Far and wide among the nations spread the name and fame of Kwasind. No man dared to strive with Kwasind, no man could compete with Kwasind, but the mischievous Pukwudgies, they the envious little people, they the fairies and the pygmies, plotted and conspired against him." So, are they evil killers or just mischievous trolls? I'd certainly like to believe the latter, but who knows unless you've met them, right? I thought I'd try and look up some first-hand sightings to see if anyone has actually seen them and what other Massachusetts residents might think. One source says that the most disturbing, reoccurring attacks might be taking place at the Pukwudgies' favorite hunting ground. In the Freetown State Forest, there is a 100-foot cliff overlooking a quarry known as the Ledge. There have been many hauntings at this site, but the most frequent experience is an overwhelming feeling to jump off of the rocks and into the water below. In the folklore of the Wampanoag, the Pukwudgies were known to lure people to cliffs and push them off to their death. There have been several unexplained suicides at the ledge, often by people who had no signs of depression or mental disease before entering the forest. This would be absolutely horrifying if true, and it would certainly explain why so many people are really afraid of these things. As for where they come from, one answer continues to crop up in my research, and that's the Bridgewater Triangle, an area of 200 square miles, the 3 points being Abington, Rehoboth, and East Freetown. It's like the Bermuda Triangle, but in the forest and in Massachusetts. Seriously, some weird stuff has happened here. Once upon a time, as legend has it, there was a Native American princess in love with a white man, but her father didn't approve. The tribe killed the white man, and despondent, the princess jumped to her death from the ledge in the Freetown State Forest. For years, people have claimed to see her ghost on those cliffs, the Lady of the Ledge. Other people claim to have seen Bigfoot in the area, and others claim to have seen UFOs. Still, others blame the death of horses or dogs in the area on a giant wolf or a mountain lion that nobody was ever able to find. There have been sightings of a giant pterodactyl-like creature or a thunderbird in the area, and then there are those who have claimed to see the Pukwudgies. This area is just ripe with strange activities. I grew up maybe an hour to an hour and a half away from that area, so it's not like I was wandering around there, but I do remember hearing about some weird happenings, from suicides, and apparently there were even baby cows drained of blood supposedly found near there. Caddo, co-director Manny Falomar, and cryptozoology writer Lauren Coleman coined the term Bridgewater Triangle in the 1970s. People claim that a negative energy surrounds the Freetown State Forest. We present the negative energy theory as a theory, nothing more. I mean, it's a secluded woodland area readily accessible to a large population of people, said Caddo. He and Famelaire searched through old newspaper articles to find people who seemed to have legitimate tales to tell and to weed out the fame seekers. There were a couple of people who even made me, as a skeptic, raise an eyebrow, he said. For instance, one man had a bizarre creature encounter in Raynham. He, said he, saw this 3-foot-tall, hair-covered creature while walking his dog. He waited 20 years before he told his story because he was afraid of people judging him, or possibly losing his job. People theorize he saw a Pukwudgie. The largest reason for all this activity, a lot of people say, is because it's sort of the Native American burial ground theory. Often we hear that story, whether it's in media, horror stories, or real people saying that their house is haunted because it's built on a Native American burial ground. Well, there, and in these forests, it was a battlefield. The entire region was one big, bloody battlefield. It's just a part of Massachusetts history, unfortunately. And because it was one giant battlefield, well, it was like one giant burial ground, too. Some want to blame the strange activity on metaphysical reasons, like an abundance of quartz. I'm not opposed to the idea of some unusual negative energy going on, but I'm more of the mindset that a lot of these occurrences or simply because of Bridgewater Triangle just being an eerie place. Anything that you want to be in the triangle is in the triangle. It's a Pandora's box, said folklorist and author of several books on the Bridgewater Triangle, Chris Balanzo. So you're into zombies? There's stories about zombies. If you're into Bigfoot, he's there. If you're into Pukwudgies, that's kind of Pukwudgie Central. If you're into ghosts, you got it. UFOs, black helicopter, it's all there. And one need not believe in the supernatural to enjoy the mystery and history of it all. Aaron Cadeau, co-creator of a 2013 documentary on the Bridgewater Triangle, said that while he's a born skeptic, he loved collecting creepy stories about the triangle just because of the fun of it. I walked into the project probably like 99% skeptic and walked out of it still like a 96, he said. But there were even a few things in the film that made me as a skeptic kind of take a step back and scratch my head. He's said this numerous times, so I really have to wonder if there's any credibility there. What have these people told him that's been convincing? Of course, modern investigators into the triangle insist that there is by no means a clear boundary for the haunted and strange area, often pointing to parts of Fall River or Rhode Island, nearby towns, and even Cape Cod as being under the triangle's unique influence. No one's ever said there's a line on the road and if you're on one side of it you're fine, and outside the triangle, then on the other side, you're in it, said author and paranormal investigator Jeff Belanger. It bleeds out. One of the eeriest legends has to be the red-headed hitchhiker of Route 44. It is said that a man with a big ginger beard, a plaid flannel shirt, and jeans is often seen on the side of the road near the Rehoboth-Seekonk town line. He is said to get into cars only to disappear. And then there's the Freetown State Forest, which has the darkest reputation of them all, of course. There's the ledge, where people who have never considered suicide are said to get the sudden urge to jump. But much of this is apparently due to its ties to horrifying true crime stories, too. Retired Freetown detective Sergeant Alan Alves said he witnessed evidence of a regular satanic cult activity in the forest for 15 to 20 years, beginning in the late 70s and continuing on until the early 90s. He said he and other officials would regularly find animals that appeared to be sacrificed ritualistically, with no blood in the animal, but none on the scene either. This could explain those baby cows that were killed. They'd often find satanic graffiti of upside-down crosses and pentagrams. There's so many legends that it would be impossible to cover all of Massachusetts today, but without a doubt it can be a spooky place, so just don't go into the woods alone, and I guess if you see a little gray-skinned creature or a Pukwudgie, then just turn the other way and run for your life. But with all that said, that is where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you all liked it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video so I can keep on making creepy content like this. And if you've got an urban legend you want to hear next, or a state you want me to cover, then let me know in those comments down below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!